Hello, welcome to Unpopular Opinion. What a mess that was. I'm so sorry.
We
Um,
got there in the end.
it's because when I set it up, I always click audience controls off, which means anybody can join me, no matter what your settings are, no matter what mine are. And when I set it up, I did it in the middle of the night. I was absolutely shattered, and I forgot to click the icon. So I am so sorry for that. But
Yeah, no worries at all.
hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Very
Apart,
good.
apart from stressed with me, I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
And
It's fine.
it was always going to go wrong at some point, and I just wish it didn't go wrong during the beginning of an interview. You know.
No, indeed. Well, thank God for Kira.
Oh, do you know what?
Um, uh,
Credit to her. Credit to Alex and Toya. They were helping me my end, and Alkaline helping at your end. Guys, send Alkaline a follow because the girl's amazing. She really stepped up, and if you're not following Alex, please do that as well. So let's get into who and what and why and where, and let's have our little natter then, shall we?
mhm.
So, who are you? Let's start there. Let's start. Let's go all the way to the beginning. What's your name? Where do you come from? A bit of Cilla Black, you know.
um, okay, so my name is Dan. I am from London, born and bred. Um, I'm now 52. Where did all the time go?
Mm. You
Um,
look good. Your paper round
and
was downhill.
So yeah, that's me. That's me.
That's amazing. So you've got quite an interesting story about yourself. So I wanted to talk about you first. Obviously, it leads to something else that we'll talk about as it comes down
Hmm.
the line. And if you're okay with it, I'll just pick things out and we'll talk about it as it goes. So do you want to
Yeah,
tell
absolutely.
tell me about you and at the beginning of you and how you became to be you now?
Okay, so you're referring to the fact that I'm late diagnosed autistic.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, you weren't born at 50. You know, you were born
No,
a lot
no,
younger. So
no,
how was
no.
life growing up? How was being you in society?
Well, I think the thing that is a characteristic of many autistic people, uh, it feels like there's a movie playing in front of you, and you feel like you should be in it, but you don't know how to get in there. So it's it's interesting. I have just put out some posts um, about what it's like coming to terms with the fact that you are autistic,
Yeah,
and I was diagnosed just short of 3 years ago, and the thing that is really striking about that point is that you get a lovely big smile from the because you've been through the 2 or 3 hours with the psychologist with the initial assessment, um, and you come out thinking, I don't know what went on there, and that was all a bit weird. Then you have the second assessment with, in my case, a speech and language therapist, and again, there are some strange things that you have to do in that around play and making up stories and stuff like that. And they end it all by, well, I wanted to tell you, Dan, that you do meet the criteria for being autistic. And it's sort of at that point that you have this. There's an element of, well, yeah, I know, and then there's an element of like, Jesus Christ, what the hell do I do with that? And you can't quite put your finger on what the sort of tumultuous feeling is. And really, what it is that you are reflecting in a heartbeat on a life of experience, um, uh, and I can say it because I've got a little bit of distance now, but you don't realize it. But what it is you're starting that process of reflection and that's a hell of a lot to reflect on, because you're reflecting on the fact that um, relationships with people that were close to you, you know, you ended up being punished for being yourself. You weren't trying to be, you couldn't be anyone else.
So
And
that's
certainly when I
sorry. So
go on.
it's so when you say relationships, do you mean like a friendship relationship, or do you mean like a romantic
Oh no,
relationship,
I
or
mean it's more fundamental than that. It's parental relationships,
right? Okay.
and I was raised by just my mother. It's another. This is a great story. This other one, but my my dad was in and out of prison. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, yeah. So my mum took the courageous decision to say he was not going to be a part of my life. But again, that is another story. It's, in fact, it's a cracking story. As I say, that is another story entirely. So I guess when you look back at in the 70s through the 80s, most of only up until recent years has there started to be a language and a dialogue and a recognition of different neurotypes, and the fact that I was really intense, I would take over conversations. I'd partly take over conversations because in my head I was already finishing what people were saying,
Mm.
and I knew what they were going to say because I didn't understand this thing called pattern recognition. That the fact that you can see patterns in anything and you can link everything together. The fact that I would talk over people because it was a way in which I could control the social situation. And which meant, you know, definitely developed the skills of being able to talk. Um, uh, but that was, in essence, that was a process of survival, because if I couldn't control the situation, I didn't know what to say or do. Um, Masking, I didn't realize that's what it was. But you know, just
So
it's
so
just this.
can we just step back slightly? For those
Hmm.
people that don't know, what is your definition of autism then? Because I appreciate you found out that you were having these problems and these things, but let's just for the audience, just what is autism to you, so then people could understand.
Primarily, it's a social communication issue.
Okay.
Um, so the way you would experience it is basically being very anxious going into social situations. And that anxiety will either mean, either for me, you wouldn't say anything, you would say something inappropriate, or you'd just be really loud and take over the situation. Um,
That's pretty much me in a
uh,
nutshell. it's
yeah,
it's why I'm on here.
sure. Um, and that was it's where socially you just feel you're completely on the outside looking in. Um, I can't even really begin to I can't even really begin to describe that sense of being on the outside. Um, it's just really uncomfortable.
I get that.
It's
So
really.
so when did you start realizing? At what point was there a moment that you kind of clicked and went, I'm not the same as everybody is, the normal, which doesn't exist?
So I would say school was a challenge. School was a massive
Mm.
challenge, um, on a very, very practical level. Um, I've got a real issue with photosensitivity.
Okay.
So you would sit in a classroom with that artificial fluorescent light that would be beaming down onto a white sheet of paper. All textbooks had white paper in them, and it just used to, it's like the light used to bounce off the page and hit me in the face to the point where I just couldn't stand it.
Mm.
I couldn't stand it. I couldn't sit still. It was almost, it was like almost hurting, but without actually being in physical pain. It was just uncomfortable the whole time. I couldn't bear noise. I just couldn't bear it. It was too much. And school was just hard. It was hard when you had to sit there. You just had to sit there.
Right.
And it was also as well, intellectually, I just got what was going on.
Mm.
I could see, do, again, I think it is due to pattern recognition. I could just do things. But I had horrifically bad handwriting. I still have terrible handwriting. I couldn't look at a page for more than a minute or so. And a horrendous anxiety that just used to follow me around, and I didn't know what that was. So in terms of actually being able to specify when I knew I was different, the first time,
Did anybody ever
it's not
suggest
knowing that
it
you're
to you?
different. It's not knowing that you're different. It's you just don't know what's going on.
Did anybody
You
ever
just don't know
suggest
what's
it?
going on.
Did anybody ever pull you?
No,
Not your mum or
there was
anything like that?
no. Uh, well, I mean, you're bad and you're naughty and concentrate and oh, Dan, come on, come on,
So it,
eyes to the front.
it sounds just like me growing up. That with just sit down, concentrate. It's not the same. I don't or haven't been diagnosed with autism. I don't think I have. But there was a lot of
Oh, you would know it if you had.
quite probably. Um, so what? How did you feel when the dots connected then?
How did I feel?
Yeah, was it like a relief?
Well, at the point of diagnosis.
Yeah, I know we jumped quite a bit ahead there, but we'll follow the chat.
At the point of diagnosis, there was the thing in my mind of like, no shit, I know.
Oh, had you
You're
completely just realised and understood by then?
but this is the sort of the whole oxymoron element to it, because it was like, I know, but then there's like this sudden rush of starting to make sense of your whole life.
Right.
And that is horrific.
Mm.
That's horrific. And it's hard. That's the only way I can put it. And there is an element of where you just have to go through that. You have to go through that. I think there is, every instance of where you got in trouble at school, where in my case it was a stepfather he was, I still don't like him, he was a horrible man.
Really?
Screamed at me for being selfish, rude, I can't stand you. That was just from him. But that was the type of thing that followed you in different areas of life.
Yeah. That's it.
So
how did your friends and family respond to you when you told them? Did they just go, "Of course, of course"?
No.
Or did they just like have no idea?
No. There's still no from my family. Certainly not from my wife and my son, because my son's autistic, and my wife is my wife, and uh, but from my family, absolutely no recognition.
Oh
I
wow.
think it's the it's having to my stepsister has had an autistic son,
Okay.
and my stepfather and my mum and other people that I know around them have been just as ignorant towards them. And so, in that sense, um, that's also another thing that late diagnosis throws up for you, because you don't always get the reaction that you think you're going to get. And the late diagnosis, um, I mean, we can go on about it, but I'm sure we'll cover it. But there are so many other things that it throws up
Mm.
that just makes you step back and look at life differently. Um, so
So do
yeah,
you?
it's a journey.
So I mean, human beings are incredibly resilient. I have a medical diagnosis that I've learned to adapt to not show that I have. Um, it's not the same as what you have. Um, do you feel that you've learned to adapt to hide it? Have you embraced it? Did you hide it for a long time?
Well, it's an interesting way of putting it. You learn to hide it because you don't realize that you're doing it. Uh, um, and that's, I don't know if you've heard of the term, but you learn to mask. Um,
Yeah,
Learning to not mask is actually a real challenge, because partly you don't know who you actually are to be. I've been this other person for so long that to stop being like that. And I'll tell you where I felt where I made progress. I would take my dog for a walk. And preceding that, because what you do is you watch social behaviors to try and understand how you should behave. So I had a dog, I still have a dog. Um, and I would always, and people would be in the park and they would seem to stop and chat and stuff like that. And I would stop and chat, and I didn't really have the menu of things to go through to talk about. I hadn't built up that skill set. Um, uh, so often communication would be a bit staccato,
mm,
stuttery. Um, but then after my diagnosis, about a week or so after my diagnosis, I realized I literally don't have to fucking talk to these people.
yeah.
Oh, thank God. So I just put my big headphones on, pulled my hat down, don't talk to anyone. And it's wonderful. I can just be in my own world. And that sounds like I don't like being social, because I do like being social. But
It's got to be on your
I
terms.
need to kinda.
Yeah, I'm very similar to that. Again, I'm not putting your diagnosis on me, but I'm very similar. I like when I go out and about, I have my earphones and I put my earphones in, and I like to be music, podcast, whatever focused. But I like to be in a social situation, which is why I'm on TikTok. So
Mhm.
it's similar like that, but having your own space is awesome, though, isn't it? you know,
It is.
I
It
am
is.
I
I
am
think
my
that's. I
best
think that's
friend.
actually. I think that's actually why a lot of autistic people come onto um, TikTok
Mm,
or other platforms, because initially, what you can do is you can build up some social cues, some social understanding by just literally talking to a screen. And when you talk to a screen, you're getting it off your chest, and then you can watch it back, and then you can sort of see and hear what you thought and what you were thinking, and then it even more makes sense to you. and then you come to the point where like more and more people start commenting, and you get a bit more validation about what you're actually thinking. And then you see, I saw about 3-4 months ago, I was just so impressed with this young autistic woman that did a live, and I was just so impressed by her.
Mm.
You did it. You did it, and I don't know. I've been impressed by so many autistic people on here. I think I've been impressed by so many autistic parents. Let me clarify that. I've been impressed by the autistic mums. They and the mothers of autistic children. They speak to a disparity in our culture and society. You can see that we live in a patriarchy, and I think there are so many men that are, because of that patriarchy, that where the sense of care, nurturing, emotional labour is almost educated out of them.
Mm.
And yet these women step up and fight for their children. And
that leads me to
wow.
A thing that these aren't in the questions, and this inevitably happens when I have conversations, and my head starts ticking over because I'm listening and I'm interested, and it leads me somewhere, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts behind it. So, have you heard of the telepathy tapes?
Rings a bell.
So,
Remind me.
so the telepathy tapes are predominantly about non-verbal children, not necessarily autistic, but children that, or adults, or
Wasn't there some controversy around the researcher that was doing this?
but there is about everything,
No, I seem to remember there was a Netflix documentary on that.
No, so I haven't seen that, but the telepathy tapes are on.
And she ended up sleeping with one of her students, who was a non-verbal young man.
I didn't know that. It's still going.
It
It's
was
still on.
sketchy.
It's still going. Is that the same thing? Are we talking about the same thing?
I mean, I'm talking about Netflix.
No, it wasn't
Who
on
knows?
Netflix. It's a podcast.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the telepathy tapes are the fact that it was as though autistic people had some kind of telepathic ability,
Yeah.
and yeah, I remember watching that simply purely because it was obviously to do with. I've seen the podcast advertised as well.
Can I? I'm just gonna very quickly Google it on my phone because I don't remember anything on Netflix. I'm not saying
I've definitely watched it, without doubt. Watched it from beginning to end. It was from a pure academic research standpoint. The woman who headed up the research ended up losing her job because she did overstep the mark, which obviously brought
right.
into question all of her findings.
So there is the non-verbal communicator was on Netflix, and that
I agree, CJ. I agree.
That had controversy behind it. I'm only googling, and I'm not calling you out. I am not calling you out. I'm just trying to clarify in my own head. The telepathy tapes here is not related to that. That's a podcast on Spotify. So
okay,
I'm going to say, because she's still recording now. She's on season 3 or something like that, and it's
I mean,
I don't know, but anyway, we'll move on. I just found it mind blowing. So let's get back to you. Did you pursue a diagnosis then? How did you?
Yes, I did. Primarily, primarily because, and this has led into why the awkward social has been created. It's basically just before the just before lockdown. So I think about September, October, 2019. My son was really caught some kind of virus thing, and was really poorly. So we'd been talking about buying him a Switch console. So we bought him a Switch. So let's buy it for him. So we bought it for him because he had been off for a while, and it looked like he was going to be off for a while more. He started playing this thing called Fortnite, or wanted to play Fortnite, and it was, well, we thought was Fortnite is where children go to die, or at least their brains will melt, and it's an awful, terrible thing. Until we went on there with him, and I actually found that it was amazing. It was an amazing setup, and what we were able to do was, by the time the first lockdown kicked in, a few months later, after the Christmas, we seem to have collected this. It was a collection of his friends from school, because my son goes to an autism specific school.
Okay.
Friends from school. He had friends from karate that work, because there was an autistic specific class that he goes to at karate, and just started collecting these people. And it kind of just grew into this thing. So what it meant was that, I was gaming with my son first and foremost to keep him safe online, because it was an open online environment. And the other parents were like, well, this is great having you about, Dan, which was fantastic. And what I actually started to experience was I'd never been surrounded by so many autistic people at once. And then I started looking at what my son did and said, and the thing that was the initial catalyst in my mind was certainly with these boys, they have this ego, like the male ego, like anyone who has a son, you can kind of just see that they just have this ego, but they don't know how to control it. And part of being able to control it, or the to and fro of the please and thank yous, and helping people out, is having the linguistic dexterity to be able to say please, thank you, no, after you, can I help you with that? And that's where you could see the social communication issue. And it was like, and so they would control situations by talking over people to try and dominate the situation, because they were anxious. I could just see myself at that age. So that was the initial, and then you go through, well, it can't be, can it? Okay. And then you see someone in the media that had been diagnosed or what have you, and you're like, really? And then as every parent of an autistic child does, literally mines the internet for every piece of information. I, a few years back, contemplated doing a PhD, and did all the prep for my application, submitted the application. So I had a subject area that I wanted to research within clinical psychology, which meant I had all of this other academic information. I did a master's in psychobiology, and that was to investigate, at the time, stress and anxiety, something that I was suffering from significantly. It was a bit of a heal thyself. It didn't actually make any difference, probably just made it worse. But I got to a point where it's like, well, I could do this. But what does it ultimately do? It's just feels like a bit of an ego trip. How does it help my son? How does it help other children, young people like him? And it doesn't. It doesn't. It just means I get, instead of having letters after my name, which is nice, got a few of those, I just get to stick a few letters in front of it.
Mm.
But what does it change? Nothing. So that's where I kind of looked at the awkward social and thought, well, what do we do with this? And the fact of the matter was, as we went through lockdown, and everyone was desperate to do stuff, and these kids were like, and imagine we could do this, and imagine we could do that. So that's led on to it, just in terms of the social aspect, which has been incredible. We have, to give you an example, I've been able to source a box at Twickenham for this Saturday for an 80,000 seater game. So it's going to be Harlequins versus Bristol.
Wow.
Groove Armada are doing a 45-minute set beforehand. We went last year.
You're going to have to struggle through that. It'll be awful. Groove Armada. I love that. That's what I grew up with. It's like my childhood.
Yeah. It was rudimental last year, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
So we've got a sensory room. I say a sensory room. It's a corporate box. So and that was just so much grief that I'd given the RFU for years of like, why haven't you got a sensory room? And I think other people as well have been at them.
Yeah.
But I think I was particularly annoying.
You were the loudest of the bunch.
Yeah.
You've got to be loud sometimes. You've got to be,
Absolutely. And, to going to the biggest skate park in the world, we went to the cup final at Wembley this year. We have just done so much. We've done. I cannot tell you the amount of things that we've done, and it's been amazing. And I think, I mean, I'll give you one particular story. So, Max's best friend at school, he's sat next, since they were 6, they've sat next to each other, and his friend was very, very super anxious. Anything that was out of the norm or different, he would cry.
Mm-hmm.
And we had been going to football matches where we'd be in the sensory room, but yes, I did say Max, Holly. My son's called Max.
You're fine, don't worry.
So we managed to get we started going to Crystal Palace specifically, and we saw loads of matches at Crystal Palace. We went to Crystal Palace because my son's a Spurs fan. We had other kids that were Arsenal fans, other kids that were Chelsea fans. So Crystal Palace was like Switzerland. It was neutral territory. Yeah. But you still had to walk from the station through crowds of people screaming, singing, shouting, all of that. To the point where last season we have I can't remember, a National League one, which is not National League. It's the league just below the Football League.
Okay.
Anyway, we went. There's a club like that, club near us. We went there, and they get about 4,000 people a game. And we stood behind the home end goalie. It ended up going to a penalty shootout. So it was like 8 goals in the end that ended up going in at our end. And every time the opposition's goalie went in, obviously everyone in the stand was informing the goalie of what they thought of him.
Oh, right. Okay.
Trying to put him off. And this boy, Alfie, was standing next to me, my son, and his dad, and they were completely in the moment with the crowd, singing.
Wow.
It was it was the most beautiful moment. It was
Yeah.
so
Euphoric.
beautiful. Just me and his dad just looked at him and were just like, I'm gonna have to bite me cheek here because I don't want to lose it in front of everyone. But this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the summer, we're for the as a Spurs fan, this grieves me, but over the summer we managed to get all of the Arsenal fans in our group. We got them we got them a day out at the Emirates to have,
Wow.
and they got them a stadium tour. Um, they treat it. It's basically because a guy who worked for Arsenal was the guy who was in the sensory suite when we went to Wembley for that day, because like
Wow.
basically
Yeah. Yeah.
Premier League clubs offer people up to help out at Wembley on big days.
Mm-hmm.
So there was the got asked, and so we organised that, and they all went, and that was like the final catalyst, so that his dad could have the moment of actually taking his son to Arsenal and standing there. Well, you sit and stand a lot,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and just doing that father son. I mean, he had his big cans on,
Yeah.
you know, but he was able to, wear their Arsenal shirts and flags and scarves and just do all of it, And I think what's been so, in terms of how we go out and do stuff together. Um, so, for instance, we're going to our local League One club, AFC Wimbledon, over Christmas. We're going to see the Exeter City game, and I think we might be going to the Boxing Day game as well.
Oh wow.
They are a much smaller club, but what the club have been brilliant in doing is they met everyone from the group to start off with, showed everyone round, orientated them, and what they do is they give us like a part of a stand, so we can have, say, 20 of us all together. So if ever anyone was to have a bad day, wasn't coping, they wouldn't be with people who are going to give them the weird
Yeah.
side eye.
Yeah. They're included.
Everyone has the familial connections with gaming, because there is something about gaming, because it isn't face-to-face contact. Because it isn't face-to-face contact, and your focus is on the game, what you're actually doing is you're having this sort of, the game doesn't realize it's doing it, but it's a third-party mediator.
Yeah.
So it takes the pressure off of communication. So this is where it's understanding it. There are far more facets, and I'm not a clinician, but primarily it is the social communication element. And so if you can take the pressure off the social communication, then communication, in whatever form it's going to take, but it can take place.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, I appreciate that doesn't happen with every autistic child, because obviously there are autistic children and adults who are non-verbal. But in this case, for the children involved in the awkward social, um, this is where those ties are initially made. So to actually see that person in person is something they're excited about doing. And what's strange, and this is because even if they don't say very much, so my son is like me, he can't stop talking. His best friend says very little,
Yeah.
but yet they're very, very comfortable together. And when you're in that environment on a football terrace, there's 9,000 people there, screaming, shouting. For the kids that want to join in with the songs, they join in with the songs. For the kids that don't, They don't. And but because we're all together, this is my thing. It's not necessarily about. It's not telepathy. It's just that internal sense of understanding.
Yeah, no,
And
I get that. So, do you think do you think that that helped you, your diagnosis and your life experience helps you with your child now, being that you have an understanding of not necessarily the same things, but some of the things that he does. I don't know what level. I mean, you're obviously high functioning. I don't know. I've not, and I'm not about. I'm not really going to make this about your son because he's a minor, and this is about you and your story. But they're kind of intertwined. So just talk as much as you want about your son that you're comfortable with, and I'm not going to push any further. So my question is, your understanding of your world, how's that helped you with your ability with your son and his world and other people like your partner and family and things? And if you don't want to talk about your son, we can move on from that. That's fine.
no, it's fine. I hear you, CJ. I guess it doesn't change anything in terms of parenting. It's more that it just helps me be, over time, be more of who I am. Um, so, yeah, I don't know if it actually impacts my parenting as such. Um, Autistic or not, you know, you still are blessed with that sense of you can't even comprehend how much you actually love that child.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's more that it's just and it's a learnt process, but learning to be more of who I actually am. um, and that's a lot quieter and getting a lot better at actually the to and fro, for instance, in conversation, instead of trying to take things over all the
Okay.
time.
So, what challenges do you and your son navigate together? Is there anything particular that is challenging that you can deal with better for your experience?
Um, my son can just talk. So tonight we took the dog out. It was pitch black, and he's just talked to me about astronomy
Oh wow.
for the whole hour that we were out. Like it's it's when he was younger, it was dinosaurs. Um, it's almost cliche to say, but he just talked. Now it's fine when that's with me, but there is also a time and a place, and not everyone can keep up with that. And so it's just coaching him through those sorts of interactions.
My partner's friend has a child. He's awesome, absolutely awesome, and he is about 12-year-old, and he does exactly the same thing. He's autistic, high functioning, talking, can communicate, and he's just discovered the adult education world in his own time. Nobody's put it into his head, and he asks questions constantly. So I would rather talk about the universe and planets than what he discusses, because he will come up and ask me anything, and I'm like, "Your mum's over there.
Mm.
Talk to me about anything else." But he's the investment he's got into that conversation is crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's an amazing thing, and the knowledge that your son will have will be incredible. I assume that he latches onto a situation and researches the bones out of it.
Yeah, I think there's an element of the thing that of interest. I mean, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but it's also that learning by osmosis,
Mm.
just being surrounded by a topic. You might not necessarily being taught it, but just the ability just to pick it up, and you don't quite know how they've done that. It's something that I used to do. Maybe I still do. I don't know, but certainly it's something that my son does, which is that's pretty impressive.
So do you both help each other during a sensory moment? Does he understand that you have a sensory overload sometimes? And
Yeah,
would
the last time um, we went to a football match. It's a local club, Sutton United. I just on that, any parents of autistic children that want to experience football, I thoroughly recommend non-league football to start off with, because you can move around
mm,
and it isn't ridiculous money that you pay at Premier League games, albeit that they are brilliant. And there was fans that were uh, banging something, and I don't know what it was. It was so repetitive, and my son just intuitively went, "Dad, shall we? Oh, that's awesome, Holly. That is awesome." Um, my son just said, "Come on, Dad, let's go and sit out the back for a bit." So we went and bought a Bovril and just sat down, because it was really getting to me badly,
yeah.
badly.
um. So, have you got a beautiful moment that you and your son have experienced together? You know, we all have life memories or that core memory. Is there anything you can think of that you and your son have done, or you and your family have done together?
Oh, just too many,
Too many.
too many.
So, so do you have routines day to day? Then I'm assuming everything is structured, and can you deviate from that in your own life? Can you deviate that in your son's life? Do you find that matching both yours together works really well for your dynamic?
Well, as any parent will tell you, you kind of live via your children, and what they do. Um, I've certainly structured my life uh, around what my son does. Um, I've created a company that fits around my family. Um, I oh gosh, I take my son to rugby. I take my son. He goes to rugby once a week. Take my son to karate, and they are all uh, autistic led, all neurodiverse in that sense. Yeah, I'm here when my son gets back from school. So yeah, my life is. I mean, on one level, my son's always likely to live with us. So I will always have that structure. I think on a personal level, the great thing about our setup, we've got an absolutely gorgeous gym where I live. So I use that every day, and lifting every day, not because I want to be a bodybuilder or anything like that, but lifting every day. Just oh, you need it.
Yeah,
You need
no,
it.
I get
I
that.
just
Yeah,
just on a very simple level. Um, something I want to investigate further as far as the awkward social is concerned as we formalise it. But why aren't there more? Gyms should be full of autistic people. Nothing changes there. It's the same all the time.
Mm.
It's so highly repetitive.
Yeah.
They should, in theory, be a really safe place for autistic people to be. But where are they?
We have a gym in town, in my local town. I'll quite happily send that by message to you. I'm not going to read it on here. I'll say it out loud on here. But they have an autistic day once a week, an autistic morning once a week, and the gym is closed. Other than special, it's not autistic. That's the wrong word. It's SEN people, not children, not teenagers. It's people, and they can go in.
But are they paid to do that because the local authority is running some kind of GP referral scheme?
It's because the manager has a child that's autistic and had exactly the same problem that you've got, and they couldn't find a gym for them to go to that had a specific a specific time of week that they
I guess my it sort of links directly into one of the core thrusts of what the awkward social is all about, is that there is so much in the structure of our society that others people. So you go over there, you come at this time, don't interfere, with I don't know, with your lack of direct gaze or your curious conversation techniques. That annoys me.
Well, so yeah. What happened was I was talking to the guy about it because I know him out of the gym, and I mentioned this interview, and he said he was going to try and come on if he could, and I'm not seeing him come on yet because it'd be great to get him to send you a follow. But he's found that a lot of the people that go in on that morning that actually go in the rest of the week because it was they're starting to use it as an introductory to the gym, even though it's not set up as that. They're starting to use it as that, and then those that are happy to go into main gym time, they're actually branching across, and they're bringing the ones that are friends with them that don't want to go in main time. They're actually starting to go with them. So as a social, it's not an experiment. As a social event, they're starting to bleed into the rest of the time. And he said that that's created a cinema time that they have that they've created themselves. They've created a restaurant meal time, and it's created this snowball effect of things that has become from it. What has come from it, and he said it's worked incredibly well.
Well, on that level, as far as that gentleman's concerned, more power to him, hands down.
I'll get him in touch with
More
you.
power to him.
I will.
However, it doesn't change the fact that, and it highlights the fact that the way in which so much of our culture and society is just exclusionary. And this is moving into another topic entirely, but it is almost like for autistic people is like it's like the final accepted form of prejudice.
Yeah.
And so often people can't even see it, can't even understand it. But we have to live with the brunt of it. I'll give you a classic example in a leisure environment. Okay, so my son stims, right? He hums and he paces up and down. Okay, so a few years ago we were going to swimming pool, local swimming pool. Got to the reception and there was a bit of a queue. So my son's excited. So he's stimming to regulate himself. It just doesn't even bother me. I didn't, not even thinking about it, seeing it. I'm just not thinking about it. To me, that's normal. and we're queuing up. When we got to the front of the desk, the receptionist said, he pulled me close and he went, is he disabled? And I said, trying to process what I'd just been asked. I thought, he's not actually, well, not in what you're thinking. I said, no, he's autistic. And he went, oh, okay. Well, if you come next time and you do this, that, and the other on the website, tell me that you've done it, then what will happen is you're getting a bit cheaper. Every fibre in my body just wanted to tell him to fuck off.
Yeah, and what
But
would
there
you
were
have
lots
saved?
of people
50p, and you've had the embarrassment.
The money isn't the issue.
No,
the
it's
money
not.
is not the issue.
You've had the
It's we were two
embarrassment.
people wanting
Yeah,
to go for a swim.
yeah, I know, I get it.
That's it.
But
That's it.
that situation creates this, and this shouldn't exist. You were two people going to go
Exactly.
swimming. You know, I get it. I get the frustration, and I don't get it from your level, but I get it from my level for you. I don't understand your level of frustration only because I've not experienced your level, but I can imagine the level that would cause. I had my daughter had the big C for 14 years on and off, and we went to.
Oh my God.
She's well. She's well. She's miserable. She's a teenager. She's in fact she's just out of teenage. She's 21 in January. But we went to we lived in Leeds Hospital for 4 years, and we used to take her. This isn't the same thing, but it's me explaining to you how I understand where you're from. She obviously was bald. She had an NG tube in, and I said to her, "Do you want to go shopping?" We were allowed out of the hospital. We'd been in for nearly 6 months in isolation. We were allowed out for the afternoon, and we didn't have enough time to go home because we didn't live in Leeds, but we had enough time to go into Leeds. And she wanted to go shopping, so she was in a wheelchair. She's on steroids. She couldn't walk. She can now. She was bald. She had an NG tube. Do you want to go to town? Love to go to town. Let's go to town. Let's do it. Let's go. Excited. Stepped out the door of the lift, out of the ward, and everyone went. And then she went, "Get me back in, get me back in, get me back in." And I didn't click what had gone on. And we went back through the door, and we went back. She wouldn't talk to me until we got back to her room. What's wrong? Everybody was staring at me. She started crying. Everyone was staring at me. She was only young. And she hated it. And she had a hand over her nose. And she went, "I need a hat." I went, "You don't need a hat. I need a hat." She, "What do you mean?" So I went to the playroom, and they have a dress-up box, and I found the most insanely bonkers hat I could find. I'm bald. I had this huge curly red wig on my head and this really long cat in the hat. And I put that on, and I said, "Right, we'll go now." And we got out the door, and she was like this. And everybody stared at me, and no one stared at her. Nobody noticed her. And we went around the whole town, and we did the shopping. She had a great time. But that feeling of my daughter having that at her, and she was only bald with an NG tube, and you could tell what they were thinking. So I understand where you're coming from. It's difficult, and it's difficult as a parent because you don't. My son has problems, and they wanted to send him to a school, and a special part of the school, and the school had a glass door and a sign above the door, and the sign said, what did it say? SEN. No, what was it? It was something like SEN corridor or SEN something, and it was a glass door at the end of the corridor from normal school to SEN school, and the sign and a glass door. And they went, "Come through here." And I looked, and we're walking around the school with my son, and I looked at this door, and I went, "No." And they went, "This is where it is." I went, "No." this is where he's going, not there.
Mm.
And they said, no, this is where he needs to go. This is where the funding pays for him to go. Well, he's not coming here then. And they went, well, this is how it works. Well, he's not coming. They went, well, you haven't even looked round. I said, I don't want to look round. You've got a sign on the door and a glass door. So all the kids on this side of the door during the day are going to look through that door and see all the special needs children with a sign above the door to remind them what that door is. It's not going. And now he goes to a mainstream school in a mainstream classroom with mainstream children, and he now is a mainstream child, and you would never know any different with him. But if it had gone there,
It's interesting because my my son was in mainstream through infant school, and he was the biggest danger he had in that school was not from bullying from other children. It was from the teachers. They were horrific.
Yeah.
Just horrific people. And it was just some real intellectual gymnastics, and to get them to put everything into place for us to get the school that we did in the end, which is amazing, which is an autism specific school. Now, our fear was him coming out of mainstream, because in our minds, that's where the world happens.
Yeah.
By coming out of mainstream, he could start to catch up on himself. He could start to learn. He could start to develop social skills, and start to become the really bright young man that he is. And he will go from his current high school, which ends at the end of this year, he will go on to the sixth form that's attached to that school, and then possibly onto college after that, all within a non-mainstream setting. And coming out of mainstream has just been the best thing to ever happen, to the point where I look at children in mainstream schools and I think, why can't you have a class with only 6 children in it?
Yeah.
The level of learning that you can do and the things that you can do, and it's just calmer. It's
Yeah,
just
no, I get it.
calmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's been a funny old journey.
Let's talk about the awkward social, because it's your name, it's there, it's a username that you've got. So, what inspired you to start saying your story on TikTok? What inspired you for the awkward social, and what's the awkward social?
I mean, it's for people that find being social a bit awkward.
That's
really,
like, that's like 8 billion people. You know?
Well,
I think at its root, I think people are just rubbish at communicating. But yeah, so specifically for you, it's aimed at those that, without those brackets again, you know, those that don't fit within.
So it's just a bit, in that sense, it's just a bit of fun as a term. It's a funny way of putting it.
Actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to take that back. It's for those people that think they don't fit. Would that be a better?
No, I mean, it's primarily, it's specifically for, it started out as something that is for young autistic people. And it started out as just somewhere to game and game safely, where it was going to be moderated, people will be looked after. It's grown into parents having a network, and us as parents being able to, well, it's meant a lot for me in terms of the amount of things that I've organised. Just over the summer holidays, we had about 8 different events, like big events to go to. and that has been incredible. That's been incredible. So yeah, that's where it started at its foundation. It will continue always to be a gaming platform. It will always be a social platform. But I am adding layers to that, partly to address the primary issue for me is I've been through that, any second now I'm going to launch across the desk and hit that teacher if they say that again. That I never did that, obviously. Otherwise I'd be in Pentonville. But
it'd be a different interview.
yeah, exactly.
I can adapt. It's fine.
But I have been there and been through EHCPs and all the grief with that, the horrific behaviour of teachers locking my son in a room, in a dark room, to then the absolute joy of him starting to flourish in somewhere that, literally autism wasn't the problem. It isn't the problem. It's just you roll with it. And I'm watching all of this media attention, all of this online attention at the moment, and rightly so. But it's all about children of school age, the challenges. I can see the end. We're not at the end, but I can see it. Once you get to 23, your EHCP ends, okay? So all the care, all the support, all the infrastructure. And so, for instance, a couple of weeks ago, Anna Maxwell Martin, famous actress, delivered a letter to the education secretary and just said, pull your finger out, basically. This is an absolute shit show, and it should be an education for all people, all children, not just a select few, and then everyone else has got to scramble and try and make the most of it, which is what happens. That is happening. The advantage that we have at this stage is there's something to fight against. We've had a big increase in the number of children being diagnosed, and the system isn't getting its act together. So there's this growing number of people that are going, what the fuck? And that has built momentum. In 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years' time, those children would have come through the system. And what is there? There will be people that I've had people say to me, oh yeah, but in my town, there's this community centre on a Thursday afternoon that does this. And I have this overwhelming sense of, so fucking what?
Yeah.
That changes nothing.
Yeah. What happens on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday?
Exactly. So who is going to help with housing, benefits, getting a job, maintaining a social life? All of that stuff. Because it just doesn't fucking exist. And it is so... If we had this type of prejudice against any other group in this country, there would be civil war. We are talking about a social communication issue where being able to articulate what you think and feel is difficult. It is difficult. And what we see on platforms like TikTok are these epic mums fronting up for everyone. It's not on their fucking shoulders to have to do this. It's not.
So have you had a good response?
This is a Sorry, go
No,
for
no,
it.
you're okay. You're okay. Have you had a good response for it then? Have you had, you've been on here a while. I don't know what you. I forgot. I didn't check your followers earlier.
I don't
So,
know. I don't know what a good response is. I don't know.
well, if you come on and you're passionate and you talk and you've got a lot of information and you're passionate about your history and your life and things moving forward and the way society should be, how have people responded to that? Because you're on here a lot. You put videos up, and how are you seeing the response to what you're doing?
I'm only 32 videos, I think, into doing this. I need a break at the weekends because I need a break.
You
I
shouldn't be
actually
on
find
seven
it
days a
quite,
week anyway. If I can give you any
yeah,
advice on this app, do not be on 7 days a week. I do 6 hours a
yeah,
week. That's it.
yeah. Um, I, um, I mean, I've got less than 200 followers, but the thing that I'm not, the things that I'm talking about within the awkward social in terms of what it's becoming, everything that I'm currently building to make it work, is fairly deep, and it's about being sustainable long term. There's a lot that I'm putting together. There are so many different layers to this in terms of how we start to implement infrastructure around social life, around how people make money, around uh, uh, gosh, don't want to give too much away, but I'll just say how we put in place infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I think that never, ever, ever, ever has there been a better time to, because of the nature of technology at the moment, because of some of the epic characters that I see on this platform, because of a growing social consciousness, and a growing social consciousness built around the fact that, hang on a minute, this just ain't right. This this ain't right. I think that I've made comparisons in some of my posts to it's almost like, we need to stand on the shoulders of giants. So wherever there was a civil rights movement before, with things like starting with the poor and class with penny libraries,
Mm-hmm.
with the Stonewall riots in New York that then gave rise to Pride, to the Black Civil Rights movement in America, to the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth waves of feminism. What you ultimately got to was a point with people where they got together and they discussed things, and it was like, hang on a minute, I'm not making this up, am I? This really is happening. And people then more and more go, hang on a minute, so if we're not making this up, this definitely is bullshit. Okay, so let's do something about it. Let's do something about it. And I think that I am just one person, and I am putting something together now that is a platform by where I hope we can start to leverage this technology, where I hope and feel that we leverage just some of the awesome people out there,
And
because I've seen other efforts before that I think, oh, there was this thing about a year or so ago that fell on its face around trying to get the government to change what it was going to do. Government ain't going to do shit. They're not going to do nothing. We live. The basic fact of the matter is we live within a patriarchal system. Without going off, I don't hope people can bear with me. I'm not trying to go off on a
You're
tangent here,
fine. You
but
go.
we live in a patriarchal system. Patriarchy and capitalism are intrinsically tied. Therefore, time, effort, ability to be flexible, move up, down, sideways, comes with an economic value. Because of things around the issues of social communication, that economic value for autistic people can't be realized because it is a social communication at its core issue. So what then happens is people like me who can just get stuff, but will take over a situation and or be rude, supposedly. I'm just telling you what I see and what it is. I'm not being rude. It's just I'm telling you that's what I see because I can see it. You might not be ready to hear it, but I can see it.
Yeah.
We don't ever, or autistic people don't ever recognize their intrinsic economic value. They're not allowed to. The system doesn't allow it. So you can never survive or progress within a patriarchal system. Waiting for our government is an expression of that system. Our companies, our structure is an expression of that system. Now, where I think we can learn from things like feminism is that when I see mums in lives together on here, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, mums were getting together and women in general, getting together in front rooms, in libraries, cafes, church halls. They were talking to each other and going, do you know what? This is bullshit. And you go, yeah, I think so as well. This is bullshit. So we're not making this up. And I can see that happening on TikTok. And I can see it happening on TikTok primarily because autism has ultimately become, I'll give you a really grotesque example.
Okay.
This Tylenol thing that's
Yeah.
come out of the States. Okay. What Trump is saying is, I hate women. It's all women's fault because they took Tylenol. And if only they had not taken the Tylenol, then, we wouldn't have this problem, which is stupid on just the most galactic level. But what we have is something that's framed within our culture and our patriarchal system as a woman's problem, when in actual fact, it's everyone's issue. We don't see men on this platform. The ones that do stick out because they are one of very few talking about the issues of autism in children and stuff like that. And it's a structural problem that I think is endemic. It is intrinsic. I think that if we wait around for it to try and sort itself out, we're going to be waiting a bloody long time. But at the same time, we are surrounded by technology, people, certain types of infrastructure, not necessarily for the autistic community, but we can use it to build something meaningful.
So,
And
so do you think that TikTok ultimately is a safe space for people that are vulnerable? Or are you trying to create that space within TikTok?
like I can't manage what happens in TikTok. I can't manage that.
No, I
Same as
mean,
like, only to a degree, something like if we're playing Fortnite in the awkward social, every once in a while a rando will join. What our kids they know what to do if a rando joins. Everyone knows how to kick someone.
Yeah.
There is a code of conduct on the way in which we behave, and knowing what to do in terms of keeping ourselves safe. And I think that's all that you can do.
Okay, so what do you hope from your videos, then, what do you hope that people get from it? What's the message that you're wanting them to take away from your
I'm only
videos?
32 videos in. The
You keep
wonderful
you
Kate has
you
just
keep
joined.
you forgive me because you're taking credit from yourself there. You've done 32 videos. That's incredible, and I've watched up to today. Well, up to coming on live about an hour before, I've watched all your videos because I wouldn't have been able to write all these questions if I couldn't. Um, so
Thank you, Kate.
so don't take credit from yourself from what you're doing. Don't diminish what you're doing. The reason you're on my channel now is because I find you interesting. I find your story interesting. You clearly are passionate, and I don't want to remove from you who and what you are. You are an
No,
interesting
indeed.
bloke, and you have a very wonderful story to tell with the passion that you
Thank
have.
you.
So
Thank you.
so you are only 32 videos in, but you are 32 videos in, and I've watched them all. So there's something there.
Well, I am a lady who's just joined, Kate. I'm talking to her tomorrow on a live.
Okay.
And
I got him first, exclusive.
but no, if I look at someone like her, she seems to be such a natural in front of the camera. I spoke to Holly and Max last week. I told Holly that I was nervous about lives and all of that, and I don't know, they just seem to be people that just do it a lot better than me.
Yeah,
I still
practice
feel that I'm
fixes that.
yeah, I'm finding my feet, definitely.
And you've got your autism there. So you have two barriers. You have the everyday worry and stress, and then you have the everyday you worry and stress. You know, and my chat
Thank you, Holly.
have done nothing but give positive comments all the way through. They like you.
Oh, thank you.
And I've had, just so you know, I've had 333 people through my doors since started, and I've had an average of 20 watching. I'll send you the figures because I think you need to see who you are in the figures. I will send them to you so you can see. So don't diminish who you are. I think you're a lovely bloke with a great story.
Thank you. Thank you.
So are you planning any series topics, content? Is there what's going on? What's the plans?
I'm currently doing one on what it's like post-diagnosis.
Okay.
And the last two videos I've done, I mean, I don't get massive views, but what I do seem to get is a lot of engagement, which is lovely.
Engagement is key on this
it's
app. Followers don't mean nothing on this app. Nothing.
yeah.
I have today. I don't know what happened. My followers went through the roof. Right now, I have 2,249 followers. I've done just shy of 600 today. I don't know how. I don't know what happened. But like I said, my average is
Paul,
20.
you're actually doing something. I don't mean to blow smoke up your ass or anything, but you know, you're actually doing something that so many people find, and this is someone who's found social situations difficult, but you're actually doing something from a point of sincerity, because I don't think you're a bullshitter.
No, 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 no. I have questions.
And
That's it. That's why I started.
and because of that, it is like a breath of fresh air on a platform like this. I say that because it's so easy to commodify yourself
Oh,
within something like this. So you end up becoming just a brand as such. And once you've gone past that, well, what is there?
yeah.
There's not much. And, you know, that's certainly one of the pitfalls of this. So I don't think you fall into that category. And
I appreciate
you know,
that.
bless you for that, Paul.
I
Bless
appreciate
you.
that. It literally came from this is going to come across. That's the first person I ever met on this app was an angry vegan lesbian, and
You
she
couldn't make it up.
she wanted to see my sausage. Well, you're a vegan and you're a lesbian on 2 counts. You don't want to see it, and I'm not going to show you. And from that moment on, I had questions, and I wanted to know, why did you get to that point? Not why are you vegan or a lesbian? Why did you get to the point that you wanted to rage bait me into showing you something that I would? So this is where my channel came from. I wanted to ask questions to everyday normal people, with that are interesting. I mean, Joe Rogan goes and interviews everybody that's wonderfully amazing at the top of the game and blah blah blah. But there are ordinary people, brackets again, that have amazing, wonderful stories, and that's why I'm here. So that being said, I get the we're very protective over our community, but I get the odd troll and the odd problem. So how do you deal with that?
Thankfully, I haven't really had much of that. I think my tactic, as and when that does happen, is to ignore it as much as I can.
Yeah,
Um,
I have a 3 rule.
just not to engage.
I have a 3 rule. The first rule is, if they come in my chat and they make a comment, I assess the comment. Is it personal? If they come in and go, "This is rubbish," that is a very valid comment. It doesn't mean it is rubbish. It just means that their opinion thinks that this is rubbish. That's fine. You're welcome to move on. There's other things going on TikTok. If they come on and go, "The big nose person TikTok shop is rubbish," that's personal. So
I've just looked at the comments here. Holly's had an awful one today. Kate's had loads.
well,
I
and that's where moderators come in. I have wonderful moderators, and my moderators are they're my rules, but they're very strict within those rules. You get 3 warnings. You get a verbal from me, and you get 1 from the moderators in the chat. So they know I'm watching them, and I embarrass them and I say, "I can see your comment. No more. If you do it again, you're going." And then the moderators then will watch them in the chat. And if they do it again, the moderator in the chat will say, "You've been warned." And then the third time, they're banned. And it's not muted, they're banned. They'll never be allowed back in. It's even if they send me a message saying please, it's no. You've lost it.
So one of the things within the layers that we're putting into the awkward social, we want to pay our moderators.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Our autistic moderators, and we've got Kira, who was on earlier. I commented, why did she get the autistic brain that can just sort all of this stuff out? And I just look at it as like, I have no idea what's going on here. But yeah, that's one of the places where we're headed.
Yeah, no, that's good. So, so did you get a lot of help from parents of other children helping you in the spaces? Because you mentioned you've got autistic people helping. So do you get families and friends as well helping? How wide a stretch is your community?
We've got plenty of parents. I kind of do everything, which is okay.
Is it sustainable?
No, that's why the awkward social is going to change.
Okay.
That's why I'm building all these different levels in, partly because I need to be able to broaden what I do. Hosting gaming nights, we game 4 nights a week, hosting our movie nights, all of that sort of stuff, hosting days out. It's about creating opportunities for others. You know, I'm not the only autistic person that can step into those roles. And it's about creating that solidity, that sense of belonging, employment, the whole lot. And that's, as I say, that's where it's all headed. And it's just in terms of the key thing for me is safety is not a feature. It's what it is.
Yeah.
And you know, there are questions I know that are due to come up about Discord, but there's so much around that, within that, on top of that. So as I say, the whole thing is built safety first. You know, we have children within the Awkward Social. We have people like Kira within the Awkward Social. Gabriel has joined from the Awkward Social, or Gabs, and you know, they're a bit older, so they will be starting to filter into things like Discord. Discord, if you're any younger than that, is the Wild West. So
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, there's lots of layers and things being done. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
So Discord, how do people join?
They will be able to join soon, because as I say, there is only me. I'm having to learn to code in several different languages at the moment, which is different.
Yeah.
So yeah, the way I'm doing it is not because I'm rushing to get this out there. The way that I'm doing it is so that it is robust and sustainable. And part of, at the beginning of lockdown, the very first lockdown, March 2020, I think it was.
Yeah.
There was a charity from Manchester called Spectrum Gaming. And
Okay.
to be clear, that they are awesome. They are awesome. Now, I'd been doing this thing with my son and his friends. Gabs is like the live again. Good man, Gabriel. He was the first ever member of the Awkward Social.
Jump across, guys. Give him some likes from my side.
And we were doing our thing, and then there was this thing called Spectrum Gaming that we kept on hearing about, especially as the first lockdown hit. So what we saw happening, because we had no physical presence online or anything like that, Spectrum Gaming, it was like every autistic parent from all over the world, as everything was shutting down, descended on this charity. And it was, oh wow, someone just sent me something lovely.
Oh, go with that.
Oh.
Go with that. Say what you need to say. It's fine.
Is it Toya Hatton? Thank you so much, Toya.
Yeah, she's from my side. She's a mod from my side.
Thank you, Toya. And
Toya.
And basically, it all descended on Spectrum Gaming, and they were completely and utterly overwhelmed. And I looked at it, because what Spectrum Gaming wasn't dissimilar to what I had just started doing. But they were massively overwhelmed, and they just had to shut everything down.
Oh wow.
And just close their doors off, and so no one can join. And that was, I mean, they couldn't have budgeted for lockdown happening.
No.
But it's the type of thing that I've had an insight into. If I was to flick the switch, start advertising, doing this, if we even had a tenth of what they had, because we are talking about thousands of requests a day to join, it would have crashed the whole thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've noticed with them and other autism charities is they're so small and the problem's so big. They're so small. And we can't go down that route. We need to build the infrastructure now to be able to, even though we are going to start small and cautiously, we need to have some foundations in place so that we know we can build on that.
So. Yeah. Well, you start. build your foundations. Houses are built from the foundations upwards. You know, you're not a silly man. You know that. So, what's your long-term plan for growing or developing the group to get? I'm assuming to get moderators in to be able to let you step back a little bit and do a bit more of the behind the scenes.
It's part of why I'm on TikTok as I am now, because part of that foundation work is credibility. Part of that foundation work where I couldn't have seen this coming, but you have asked me to come on. The fact that, I don't know, people like Holly last week or the week before, whenever it was, said, "Don't worry, you'll be all right." But it's simple foundation work there. It's one of the structures that I'm putting together at the moment. I have to get up, before my son goes to school, code that for an hour to get that right. It's just other simple things like
Toya's just
I've
messaged.
managed.
Just sorry to interrupt you slightly. I'll do it now before it disappears in the chat. She's offering her services to mod for you on if you need it. So Toya, send the man a message. He can connect with you, and I'll leave you to whatever you want to do. Apologies. It'll disappear in my chat if I didn't say it.
Bless you, Toya. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So where was I at?
What we're doing with moving forward with the long-term plan.
Yeah, so
I'm so sorry. If I didn't say it, I'd lose it in the chat, and it was so important.
No, indeed. Long-term plan. Putting all, as I say, foundations now. I don't want to give too much away, because what it's actually all about and where it's going will become unbelievably obvious.
Okay.
But as I say, the opportunity is around the technology that's available, the incredible people that are out there fighting the good fight already, and just the fact that the vacuum post 23 is real. There's nothing.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, how do you want your community to stand out in comparison to, like the gaming group that you mentioned during COVID that had to shut down?
This isn't said from an egotistical standpoint at all. And bigger isn't always better. But the problem is so big, it is so big that this will just be bigger.
Yeah.
First off, that's how it will stand out. I think it's recognizing the fact that parents of autistic children that turn into young adults, become, by the very structure, economically disadvantaged, find it hard to get an economic foothold. And if we are to stand on the shoulders of giants, i.e. what the feminist movement did, once upon a time women didn't have an economic foothold, no political say, nothing. And they had to craft their voice. And I think it's been one of the most elegant revolutions that's ever happened. No blood has been spilt, but yet society has been fundamentally changed. The war is not won, but if we're going to stand on the shoulders of giants, those are the giants I choose to stand on. That is incredible.
If you're going to do it, stand on them. If you're going to do it, go for it.
Yeah.
There's no point that it's. Look, you're clearly a passionate man. This is very personal to you, and very close to your heart. So if you're going to do it, do it. From a personal level, if I can support you in any way, let me know. My channel's at your disposal.
Thank you, Paul.
If I can help you, I will help you. I have no clout on this app at all. So as far as clout wise, I don't have any. But what I will give you is in 6 months' time, I think we'll reconnect and we'll find out where you are and how you're getting on. So, the last question I'm going to ask you, because we've done an hour and 43 minutes, I'm very aware that we're 45 minutes late getting on because I'm an idiot, TikTok shop. What's your final message to everybody? What do you want to say? Other than thank you, Paul, you're amazing, and how wonderfully beautiful a human being I'm joking. What do you
You
want
are
to?
actually quite good looking as well, Paul.
I'm old. I'm old.
I bet I'm older than you.
I'm 44. I had an uphill
I'm
paper.
52.
Yours was downhill. Mine was uphill. I think that's what message do you want to give people?
Just realise your value. Realise your value. And the fight is real, but I think we can make some serious inroads. And a part of that is collectively realising our value, because we're
Perfect.
worth it.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. I appreciate you giving me your time and putting up with the beginning of this conversation and the mess about that was. I promise you that will never happen again. I'll never create an event while I'm half asleep. I am so glad we met. I am going to follow your journey closely. I know that you. I know that you've gained some followers. You're at 188 now, and I think you were 100,
Oh, amazing.
182. I think you were when we started this. I don't quote me on it. So anybody that hasn't followed, please jump across and send those follows now. That would be awesome. I'm so glad we met, Dan. I think
Thank you, Paul.
I think you are a beautiful human being, and you are genuinely lovely. And I think that you will do well. I think you'll do well in what you do on TikTok. I think it'll be a grower, but I think everything is a grower now. I think I came late to the game. I think you came late to the game, and I think because we're late to the game of the world of TikTok, we're both fighting an uphill battle. But like I said, I will support you and the Awkward Social. If you need anything, let me know. But I thank you to your followers. Thank you to the lady that helped earlier. Forgive me, I've forgotten her name.
Kira.
Kira, you are awesome. Thank you so much. Enjoy Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
And to you.
And your followers. And good luck with anything and everything that you do.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. See you later, Paul.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye.